Southern Cameroonians, Ambazonians, my dear brothers and sisters, my fellow countrymen and women. Today is Saturday, the 26th day of October in the year of our Lord 2019. My name is John Bakuro, and I bring to you revolutionary greetings. This communication is so important because I'm going to try to let everyone know the dangers that are before us, and also to let everyone know that we still have the full potential to overcome in this fray. My dear people, I know that by now you must have had alerts. By now you must have received a lot of messages circulating on social media to bring out some of the information that I'm about to bring here. But I think it is absolutely important that we get a clear grasp of how the world functions, that we get to know so well what is ahead of us, and also to understand what we need to do. My dear brothers and sisters, let no one frighten any of us. Let no one try to bring fear-mongering into our lives and into our minds. We will overcome. None of us expected that this was going to be a walk in the park. It is total freedom we are seeking. We are not asking for less than we deserve. We are asking the full package of what we deserve. So it's got to be difficult. That is why I'm urging a good lot of us to continue to know that the only way to success is to embrace the hard right and ignore the easy wrong. That way, we will stay the course. My dear people, the Southern Cameroons is now clearly under Allied attack. La République du Cameroon had been struggling to enlist the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And I think at the end of the day, they have had the covert Nigerian support for the kind of evil operations that are being conducted now on our territory, in collaboration with La République du Cameroon soldiers. The French government had tried to play over the intelligence of the rest of the international community by pretending to be neutral, by pretending to just be, calling on both parties to go to dialogue and end this, by pretending that it was not totally supporting La République du Cameroon. But I think the tides have grown so strong against Yaoundé that the French have now decided to drop the mask and come publicly. That is why we all saw the first ever warship, anchor at the Kribi seaport in the southern region of La République du Cameroon. And it did not just anchor, it came along with heavy military equipment. I mean, heavy military equipment. And it came along with 180 paratroopers, French soldiers, that are coming to lend a helping hand to La République du Cameroon. Already, we had news that some French military trainers were in the east training 1,000 French troops on how, for 1,000 La République du Cameroon troops on how to live and fight in the forests, all in efforts to try and defeat the Southern Cameroons militarily. I guess at this juncture, we remember very vividly the pronouncements, the prophetic pronouncements of Honorable Joseph Weber in the House of Assembly of La République du Cameroon, when he said, when the people will rise, you may bring the entire army of La République du Cameroon and that of France, but you will not subdue us. My dear people, we are right there. As I'm talking to you, I'm sure you have seen alerts circulating on social media for indicating that the army of La République du Cameroon has been camping on Nigerian territory, in Taraba State specifically, and in the town of Jalingo, where they have had the tacit authorization of the Nigerian government, quite covertly, to use herdsmen to enter into our territory to kill and maim and rape civilians in Donga Mantung. Shocking that the Federal Republic of Nigeria is now supporting genocide, not only abetting, but fully supporting and cooperating to perpetrate genocide in Southern Cameroons. Right as I'm talking here, I've also had talks with people right on the ground in Donga Mantung County who indicate that they have had information from villagers along the roads that these people, the La République du Cameroon soldiers and the Fulanis from Taraba State in Nigeria, from Jalingo, are going to be getting into Donga Mantung via Nwa, Sabongari, some will pass through Dumbo to get to various localities there to bring mayhem onto our people. At the same time, the Nigerian government was already in the know that there are over 65 Bayelsa boys that the Nigerian government has been paying a salary to make sure they don't continue to promote unrest in their country. They authorize these boys to move into Ndian County. They are stationed in Mundemba and in other parts of Ndian County where they are currently spraying mayhem on our people at the behest of the palm oil plantations and supported by the colonial governor of the southern region. Can President Buhari come through to tell the world that he is not covertly supporting genocide in southern Cameroons? Can President Buhari come through to tell the world that it was not enough for him to have packaged asylum seekers, most of whom had already received refugee protection, and refuel them back to Cameroon? Some of whom have already received life jail terms. The same President Buhari packaged over 40, about I think 39 refugees, Southern Cameroonian refugees in Taraba State, and shipped them in on claims that they were preparing an armed confrontation. They are in La République du Cameroon's dungeons. The same thing was done with over 10 in Calabar, and daily the government of President Buhari is refueling asylum seekers from his country to go and face brutal death. And we all know that President Buhari did not start doing this from the blues. French President Emmanuel Macron traveled to Nigeria where he held serious talks with President Buhari to push for this. And now French President Macron has simply seen that despite all of the assistance he's receiving from Nigeria, already in La République du Cameroon, against the people of the Southern Cameroons, nothing is going. Reason, he had now to dispatch a whole warship with unimaginable war weapons to help and abet genocide. What France did in Rwanda was not enough. The French have now determined that they want to revisit Rwanda in Southern Cameroons. I'm calling on the entire world to open their eyes wide, loud, and clear, and to understand that the worst is about to happen. My dear people, while these developments are going on, I collected intelligence from Yaoundé, from internal military sources, that there is serious pressure ongoing on General Aga Robinson in Bamenda and his counterpart in Boya from the presidency of La République du Cameroon to authorize air raids. My source says General Aga Robinson apparently has been very resistant to the use of that approach and has requested that he should be transferred from Bamenda if they must carry out air raids because he cannot participate in such large-scale decimation of his own people. I am told that because General Aga Robinson has not yet accepted to apply the air raids, that is why there is still hesitation in the southern zone. So I will not be surprised if in the days ahead, General Aga Robinson, whom we already disapprove so much of the kind of work he has been doing to lead to the mass killing of our people, has reached a point where he himself has started feeling that he can't stomach it anymore. You should understand. When a disciple of the devil says this is so much evil, my people, this is a clear indication that Mr. Paul Biya is still 100%, maybe even more than 100% convinced that the only solution he has to what is happening in the Southern Cameroons is a military solution. As I'm saying this, take note that La République du Cameroun is already violating all the Geneva Convention prescriptions on the conduct of warfare. They had done that right from the start, but I think the world has been silent, and right now they continue to increase the scale. La République du Cameroun soldiers are already applying unconventional warfare tactics by using civilians as human shield. I say this because we got reports confirmed from the ground in Bui County how soldiers of La République du Cameroun intercepted a civilian passenger bus, removed some passengers, put them in their own car to drive at a safe distance from behind, and they were in civilian attire and sat in the bus so they could use those civilians, use the civilian bus to open fire on self-defense volunteers at their positions, so that in return, if they were firing back, they should kill civilians. They should kill their own people. Some said the bus driver cooperated. Oh no. The soldiers at gunpoint forced the bus driver and all the passengers to obey. This is unacceptable. The one moment that we heard about this and that the entire world condemned so seriously was when late President Saddam Hussein of Iraq used civilians as human shield at military positions during the Gulf War. My dear people, these are all indications that La République du Cameroun is getting more and more weary of the war, and that all the kind of stupid tactics they've applied to try and discourage our people from financing our resistance, from financing our struggle, from making it possible for our civilian populations to continue to resist, from giving them much needed finances for our internally displaced people to continue to stay resilient, from providing adequate finances to our people in this war zone to continue to at least have the basic minimum to feed on so they should continue to resist. They have tried all sorts of means to discourage, and it hasn't worked. Now, La République du Cameroun tried to portray us to the rest of the world that we did not like education. And I saw that all the efforts put in place by all the various civil society organizations to help foster education even during wartime by using the community education approach, and in some places, even with the assistance of UNICEF, that has been dubious in some areas. But the government of La République du Cameroun has now sent soldiers to go open fire on community schools, especially in Bui County. They are trying to do the same thing in Boyo County. La République du Cameroun soldiers opening fire on pupils and students in community schools. Who hates education of the people of the Southern Cameroons? I've said this before. As long as La République du Cameroun feels they can't control the content of the education our children will receive, they will make sure our children don't go to school. And that is exactly what is unfolding on the ground. And while all this is happening, some people continue to dream that La République du Cameroun is preparing to meet us on a negotiation table in Geneva, in Switzerland. My dear people, I followed on national television of La République du Cameroun. I followed on Equinox. I followed on other private television and read in private newspapers. Whereas the junior minister at the Ministry of External Relations of La République du Cameroun, Felix Mbayu, he told the resident UN coordinator in a public event, that was at a public event, that the Grand National Dialogue that Mr. Pobia organized and held in Yaoundé was the first and last that will ever be held to address the concerns of the people of the Southern Cameroons. He said that was the last dialogue. He was not talking about something internal. He said first and last. That was in response to continuous calls from the international community that La République du Cameroun should show up at internationally mediated talks. My dear people, if anyone needed evidence again that La République du Cameroun is not ready for any international negotiations, you got it right there. This time, it's not rumor. It is from the mouth of an official of La République du Cameroun, and from the ministry that should be most authorized to even say that, the Ministry of External Relations. Mr. Mbayo, was talking to the same UN resident coordinator in Yaoundé, who wrote to the presidency of the Republic in mid this year to talk about the Swiss organizations Center for Humanitarian Dialogue and Swiss Peace as facing a lot of difficulties being accepted by Cameroonians and urging Mr. Paul Biya's government to show support. That was the response. That was a public response given. So we should not allow ourselves to continue to be lured into believing that our priority today should be wasting our time going to Switzerland or wasting our time going to be sitting in town halls and all whatnot, and instead of telling our people to continue to mobilize resources and all kinds of measures necessary to help our civilians on the ground to continue the resistance, who go and organize such talks, to be talking about Switzerland, to be doing public relations for a Swiss non-governmental organization known as Center for Humanitarian Dialogue. I followed the director for Francophone Africa of HD, the Center for Humanitarian Dialogue, Alexandre Lebeskin, on ABC TV. And he told Chris Anu plainly that Switzerland does not have any written mandate from La République du Cameroun. He did not mince his words. He was honest there. But he followed up by saying, well, but they had the commitment of the presidency of La République du Cameroun. He couldn't even say who at that presidency. I think Mr. Lebeskin there was simply trying to play on words, because this is not the first instance in the world where warring parties are going for international negotiations. Either you are a superpower or a supranational structure that can stand and talk, and people know that you have the cohesive force of implementation, and they will come to the table, or you simply go ahead and obtain documents that will commit the parties. Mr. Lebeskin said they don't have any of such. And that is what I have been asking for over and over and over, to make sure we're not wasting our time. At the end of the day, we can all now truly observe that we have been wasting our time. Again, Mr. Alexandre Lebeskin admitted that the arrest of Comrade Abdul Karim Ali exposed a major weakness, which is the absence of that very vital letter of immunity that I have been talking about, that we needed to ask for on day one before risking the life of anyone to travel either to Switzerland or to anywhere within the framework of these discussions. Just so you know, there is a second incident. Some other Southern Cameroonian who traveled to meet with the HD delegation in Accra, Ghana, returned to Cameroon and is also right now at this moment I speak in Kondengi. So there's a second casualty from these Swiss talks. And while we are talking here, I also watched as Comrade Chris and asked Alex Lebeskin if at all they were trying to reach out to self-defense volunteers on the ground. He negated. But my dear people of the Southern Cameroons, fellow Ambazonians, I am speaking to you with authority. As late as this afternoon, I was in a meeting where someone was talking to us on behalf of the self-defense volunteers and said he was present when they received a call first from For Hansen Nchanji, who is working now with HD in Switzerland. And then after that conversation with Prince For Hansen Nchanji, he was now connected to Mr. Alex Lebeskin, the same Alex Lebeskin who was almost claiming ignorance of not knowing that they were intruding right onto the territories of the Southern Cameroons and trying to meet with people they don't have the right to meet with right now as we speak. My dear people, this kind of double game shall not be accepted. I challenge Mr. Lebeskin or Prince For Hansen Nchanji to come out public and say I am lying, because if they do, I will produce evidence. I think this kind of nonsense has got to stop. The Swiss better put their acts right. I know the world did acknowledge, and the world acknowledges when you announce. The world knows that the Swiss government is a country whose word can be taken to the bank if you were coming just from Switzerland. But now the Swiss were giving their word based on word they took from a rogue state whose word cannot be taken to the bank. That is why you got that flurry of support. Of course, people will support because the Swiss announced that they had obtained the consent from both parties. The world will not go to ask Switzerland, can you show us? Because they can take the word of Switzerland to the bank. But Switzerland was talking with the word of a country, of a rogue system that cannot be taken to the bank. So at the end of the day, they intrinsically lied without knowing they were doing so. That is exactly where we are today. So let people stop deceiving us by saying endorsed by the United States, endorsed by the United Kingdom, endorsed by the this and that. I am telling you, these same powers that acknowledged that announcement from the Swiss government are right now as I'm talking to you, finding out exactly what is happening. Now they are forced to get into the details because they have observed and discovered for themselves that nothing legit is going on. We have to stop deceiving ourselves. We have to stop deceiving ourselves. My dear brothers and sisters of the Southern Cameroons, when I raise these issues, 6 hefty men who should be busy out there mobilizing funds, who should be busy organizing meetings here and there to fire up our people, to keep the resistance alive, go and sit down and do 2 hours, 26 minutes of program to insult me, to perpetrate lies, to spill lies, to even claim that I was participating in embezzling funds that are yet to be raised. This is a shame, a very big shame. And in their minds, they thought that that was going to shut me down so that I don't talk about the scam, that is a Swiss-led process. I like to call it a scam this far because it is not productive. I raised issues that we could go ahead and make sure this process is fixed so that it could become something worthy of our adherence. But the resistance to have it fixed definitely had other undertones that we'll be discovering with time. Oh yes, before they held their program Sunday, they even told some Southern Cameroonians that when we would have finished with Mbakuro on Sunday, he will no longer open his mouth to talk about Swiss. Oh really? I'd like to remind you, I have said this before, at other instances, that no man born of a woman can shut me down, can cause Mbakuro to close his eyes, close his mouth while my people are dying, while my people are being manipulated into stupid arrests, into avoidable arrests. I shall not shut down my mouth. Nobody can shut me down. I know that even as I'm talking now, they are spinning other lies, spinning other things. Oh, come on, get ready. And no, if that is the route you want to go, then you are in for a very long haul. And just so you know, this is not the first time I'm facing such. I've faced it so much, more than enough, in Cameroon, under La République du Cameroun, where sometimes even colleagues were afraid to be seen with Mbakuro because hierarchy will say, you are moving with that man who is not supporting government, that man who is not respecting some imaginary so-called editorial policy of CRTV, who continues to oppose the government. Yes, I kept fighting for the rights of my people of the Southern Cameroons, even right down to the point of accepting to go without friends, of accepting to go without being with my colleagues, because association with me almost seemed a death penalty to a good lot of them. Almost seemed a clear indication you will never get promotion. I wasn't shut down then. My career was bruised. I had a series of punitive transfers here and there. It didn't stop me. So not you, none of you, none is qualified to shut me down. Until the day I give out the ghost, I will keep fighting for the rights of my people. I will keep fighting for them to know the direction to follow. I will keep fighting for them to know the exact truth of every single situation. My people need freedom. My people deserve freedom. And my people will get the freedom they deserve. Nobody will rob them of any opportunity to get there. I want to salute these brave men and women in scope, the Southern Cameroons Congress of the People, who have stood up and said no to someone trying to ram down this same Swiss-led stuff through their throats. You can see the publication that they sent out, the 5-page publication. They did a diagnosis of the entire process and came away with the conviction that it needs serious fixing if it has to work. But right now, La République du Cameroon is not even there. I'm ashamed to realize that people who are supposed to be devoted 100% to the freedom of our people will, on the national day, the day we're commemorating or the day we're celebrating the independence, the stolen independence of the Southern Cameroons, not take that day to organize a grand event to collect funds, to take care of our refugees who are littered in countries around the world, to take care of the IDPs who are dying of illnesses that can be treated, who are dying of hunger, who are being infected by reckless soldiers chasing them right into the forest. They devote our national day, our Independence Day, to organize a town hall to do public relations for a Swiss non-governmental organization, HD. It's an embarrassment. It's a shame. But I think that they can still come back to reason. I like to announce here that Comrade Chris Anu, after announcing on ABC that he had invited me to come on that television channel, and I did not respond. First of all, I never saw his invitation, but at least he gave me a call, and we talked, and I agreed to be present on ABC TV on Tuesday. That should be Tuesday 30th, if I'm not mistaken. I think Tuesday 29th. On Tuesday 29th of October 2019, where we shall together talk about the way forward with respect to this issue of the Swiss-led process, where we should together examine some very important issues affecting our struggle. He offered and I accepted, and I will be there. I don't fear to talk on any channel, because what I say it from my heart, and I say it in the interest of the people of the Southern Cameroons. So unless that appointment is cancelled, it is sealed, and I will be on ABC TV on Tuesday. That said, I'd like to invite Southern Cameroonians who are based in the DMV area in the United States of America to make sure that on Saturday, the 2nd of November, 2019, they should all go out and support the 25-year-old Tafon Ndian County. That is a heavyweight fighter in the United States of America who devoted his first ever win in an international fight to the cause of the people of Amazonia, to the cause of the people of the Southern Cameroons. So on the 2nd of November 2019, the 25-year-old fighter will take on McCowan in a cruiserweight fight at the Royal Farm Arena, that is in Baltimore. If you like to get the address, take your pen and piece of paper and write 201 West Baltimore Street, Baltimore, MD 21201. Again, 201 West Baltimore Street, Baltimore, MD 21201. The combat will begin at 5:30 p.m. There's an entry fee, $50. Let us all go out there en masse and push our own to victory. Show solidarity. Tell him we are happy that he is standing by us at the moment where some think that it is better to stand against us. Let us make it a date with him. To God be the glory.